William Howard Taft, the only man to serve as both U.S. President and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. But what about his kids? From the halls of Congress to the classrooms of Bryn Mawr to the streets of Cincinnati, the Taft children made their own marks on history. So, whatever happened to William Howard Taft's 3 children? Number 3. Robert Alfonso. Taft, born in 1889, Robert was the first son of William and Nellie Taft. He grew up in a world of politics, policy, and privilege. His grandfather, Alfonso, had been a cabinet member under President Grant. His father, of course, was climbing the national political ladder fast. So it's no surprise Robert turned into a political machine himself. But don't mistake this for some silver spoon ride. Robert Taft earned every bit of his reputation as a powerhouse. He dominated academically. Top of his class at Yale, then Harvard Law, and even aced the Ohio bar exam with the highest score in the state. He wanted to join the Army in World War I, but bad eyesight kept him out. Instead, he supported the war effort from the Food and Drug Administration, where he worked directly under Herbert Hoover. Hoover became his hero, and the admiration shaped Robert's lifelong distrust of bloated government programs. Fast forward to the 1930s, Taft jumps into politics. First the Ohio legislature, and then in 1938, he wins a U.S. Senate seat. This is where he really becomes a household name. In the Senate, Taft didn't play games. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, but he was relentless. He mastered the rules. He obsessed over policy, and he got things done. His biggest legacy? The Taft-Hartley Act of 1947, a controversial but landmark piece of labor law that's still on the books. It limited union power, banned closed shops, and gave presidents more tools to stop strikes. Love it or hate it, it shaped American labor forever. Now here's the twist. Taft, the ultra-conservative, also backed public housing bills. He believed in helping people. He just thought it should be local, not federal. And when it came to civil rights, he was way ahead of his time. He supported anti-lynching laws and desegregating the armed forces. He even opposed the Ku Klux Klan. That's not something you expect from a guy branded Mr. Republican. He ran for president 4 times, 1940, 1944, 1948, and 1952, but he never made it. The party's moderate wing always edged him out. Still, he held massive power behind the scenes, shaping the party's conservative agenda until his death in 1953. John F. Kennedy even praised him in Profiles in Courage for having the guts to oppose the Nuremberg trials on legal grounds. Yeah, you don't have to agree with him to respect the man's backbone. When he died, the Senate called him one of the 5 greatest senators in American history. His memorial still stands in Washington, D.C., and his nickname, Mr. Republican, is still unmatched. Number 2, Helen Taft Manning. Born in 1891, Helen was smack in the middle of the Taft kids. You know how people say she was ahead of her time? Well, Helen Taft Manning didn't just live ahead of her time, she ran laps around it. In 1909, her mom, First Lady Nellie Taft, suffered a stroke just months into the presidency. Helen, still a teenager, moved into the White House to help care for her. She hosted official functions, supported her parents, and kept the family ship afloat, all before graduating college. She enrolled at Bryn Mawr College, but paused her studies during that White House crisis. When she returned, she crushed it. Graduated in 1915, earned a doctorate from Yale, and was appointed Dean of Bryn Mawr at just 26. 2 years later, she was acting president. She was running one of the top women's colleges in the country before women could even vote in all 50 states. She was also a passionate suffragist, traveling the country giving speeches in support of women's rights. Not exactly the stay-in-your-lane attitude people expected from a first daughter in the early 1900s. Helen spent decades shaping Bryn Mawr's curriculum, mentoring generations of female scholars, and publishing major works on British colonial history and Canadian politics. Her most famous books? British colonial government after the American Revolution and the revolt of French Canada. Her personal life? Grounded in academia. She married historian Frederick Manning, had 2 daughters. Both became teachers and professors, and never strayed far from campus life. She retired in 1957, but stayed active in research and writing well into her 80s. When she passed away in 1987 at age 95, she was the last surviving child of William Howard Taft. Number 1. Charles Phelps, Taft II. Born in 1897 in Cincinnati, Charles never really left it behind. Even when he went off to Yale, joined Skull and Bones, fought in World War I, then finished law school, his heart was still in Ohio. While his big brother Robert was chasing Senate seats and shaping national policy, Charles was focused on fixing potholes, funding schools, and making sure Cincinnati didn't just work, it thrived. In 1925, Charles helped push through one of the biggest changes in the city's history, the Home Rule Charter. It gave Cincinnati the power to govern itself and launched the city manager system that made everything run smoother, efficient, transparent, no more political chaos. He served on the city council for 27 years. That's longer than some people stay in one career. And in 1955, he became mayor. Under his watch, Fortune magazine crowned Cincinnati the best-managed big city in America. But Charles wasn't just a political guy. He was a church guy, too. He was the first non-clergy president of the Federal Council of Churches. He worked with the YMCA internationally. He cared about fairness, racial equity, and making faith more about action than sermons. He even co-founded a law firm with his brother Robert, which still exists today. His views were complicated, though. In the 1950s, he was called out for using racially restrictive covenants in property deeds. But later in life, he publicly called on the Republican Party to take a hard stand against racial discrimination. It doesn't erase the controversy, but it shows he was willing to evolve, and that matters. In 1952, he took a swing at becoming governor of Ohio. He lost, but honestly, the story is the way he transformed city government, built civic trust, and made Cincinnati a model for other cities. That's why people called him Mr. Cincinnati. It wasn't a nickname, it was a title he earned. Charles had 7 kids, a passion for public service, and apparently a soft spot for fishing, which explains the inscription on his tombstone, "Gone Fishing." He died in 1983, but his legacy? Still showing up in council chambers, city buildings, and history books. Charles didn't need to be president like his dad. He didn't want to be a senator like his brother. He just wanted to make his city better. 3 kids, 3 wildly different paths. But one thing in common, none of them wasted the Taft name. You don't have to be president to change history.